Hi, this is Tara with Tara's Tips, Terrific Ink, Paper, and Stamps, and today I'm going to show you how to make this interlocking gatefold card. And it opens like this. And this one is a little bit tricky. This is the first one I've ever made. You've got to get the bits behind the flower, but not get your black piece up through the flower. So it's a little on the tricky side. Maybe I should have kept this just a slightly bigger circle and not had all the fancy stuff, but this is what I had and what I used. And I got the idea off of this card that I had received as a card swap, and Kim Pele's did this. So I wanted to copy it. Some of my customers had seen it and liked it and wanted to know the measurements and stuff, and I thought, well, if I'm going to give them the measurements, I might as well make a card and do the video. So there's the card here. So we're going to bring in our supplies, and we're going to start out with a 5 1/4 by 11 piece of soft succulent, and I'm going to bring in my Simply Scored scoring tool, and we're going to score it at 1 3/4, 3 1/2, 7 1/2, and 9 1/4. And if you wanted to, you could do the 1 3/4 and 3 1/2, and then pull it back over and do 1 3/4 and 3 1/2 again to get your score lines. And to score this, we're gonna do the center ones as valley folds and the outside ones as mountain folds. And I'm gonna bring in my bone folder. Just to get those crease marks really good. Okay, and then we need 3 pieces of basic black panels that are 1 3/4 by 4, and then 3 pieces of designer paper or foil, whichever you decide, that is 1 1/2 by 3 3/4. And another thing you could do is, instead of having your designer paper panels, you could do solid cardstock, and you could stamp like a long, like say a flower with a long stem or something, and you could stamp it and then cut it apart and separate it and have it on your 3 panels. That would be another way. If you didn't want to use the designer paper, you could have a stamped image going down. So we are just going to glue. This is the dry brushed metallic specialty paper that's 12 by 12. And this is my multi-purpose glue in my fine tip bottle. Okay, and then we're going to run this through. This is the rose gold specialty paper. It comes in 3 different shades, and we're going to run that through the stripes and splatters, the splatter part, embossing folder. And I had tried the Time Worn type embossing folder and with that, but I just kind of like the splatters a little bit better, so I decided to go with that. So I'm going to run this through my Baby Boss, and I'll be right back. Okay, and I can glue that on now. Okay, when I'm doing that, I like to grab right behind the amount that's gonna get the glue on it and kind of flip my hand over. It's a little awkward. You could draw a line with a pencil on the back of it or something, but I just kind of grab it like this and flip it around. fill it in a little bit. Since we're not putting on the other half, I use a little bit more glue. We're gonna put that up at the top. And so I'm going to hold that one like that. Okay, so there's the base of your card. That's the main gist of it, and then you can kind of decorate it as you like. I used several different die sets for this because I was just kind of trying to copy the way Kim had it done, but not exactly, and I didn't have everything that she had used. So this circle comes from the painted label dies, which look like this. And like I said, you could use any, you know, you could have used bigger circles. These come from the layering circle dies, which look like this. So I used this is the smallest, so the third smallest of the scalloped and the third smallest of the straight edge circles. And what else did I use? I used the summer shadow dies for my flowers. And that's the dies right here. So I've already cut these and glued the rose gold specialty paper onto the soft succulent to save some time. So we are going to come in and stamp our flower here. And for that I use the two-tone Flora stamp set. So I'm going to bring a scrap of paper in and my soft succulent ink spot. And when I stamp on this, I like to stamp my lined image, the detailed image first. So this is going to be, I'm keeping it all soft succulent in the stamping, so I want my sentiment darker, so I want my flower really light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp off once on my detail. Stamp off on my scrap, and then I'm gonna stamp again. So we've got that, and then on my main flower, using the soft succulent again, I want it to be even lighter, so I'm going to stamp this one off twice. So stamp off, stamp off, stamp my flower. And there you've got that nice light flower there. And I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus, and the Feel Better Real Soon sentiment comes from the Cottage Rose stamp set. I was just trying to find a sentiment that fit onto that circle. So I'm going to, I've got a template here, stick my flower in there, and I'm gonna put my magnet on the top since I don't need the whole amount. It doesn't get covered with the sentiment, so that way I can ink it up multiple times to make it darker. that's not horrible, but I want it darker. Okay, and that looks better, but I'm going to do one more time. And I like to use my take your pick tool to pull that out of the center there. So I will get my Stamparatus out of here. We're going to come in with our pieces and glue them together. Okay, this flower I'm going to glue here. And I'm actually just going to let the glue set and dry a little bit. That way it's not oozing out onto my pretty designer paper. We are going to glue this, just making sure that it's only going to glue where the foil is. Okay, so that'll be like that. Bring this flower back in. I'm going to come in with some mini dimensionals, figure out where I want my flower to be on here. And when I made the card the first time, I put the dimensionals like halfway down, but taking care not to put it behind, you know, so it would be on this. But then I didn't take into account that this is going to be sliding over farther. So when you do it, you just want to do it on the very bottom. And I'm actually going to do a double layer of the mini dimensionals, that way I can raise it up a little higher so it doesn't get caught as quick. And I'm going to keep that as far down to the bottom as I can. I think that helps it open and close a little easier too. Okay, and then for my inside piece, I've got the designer paper again, and I'm going to stamp my flower. So I'm going to stamp my flower before I glue on my strip of designer paper. That way, if I mess up, I can flip my paper over. So this time we're not going to stamp off on the detailed image because our flower can be a little bit darker on the inside. And if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel yet, if you hit the subscribe button and the notifications, you'll be notified when I make a new video. If you like what you see, let me know what you think about this card in the comments. And if you have any suggestions, if I can do it, I'll try. If I can't, then I won't. But, you know, make your comments and I'll respond. Okay, we're going to stamp this one off once so we get it a little lighter than the detailed bit. Okay, so that looks good to me. Okay, we're going to glue that inside. And it may be a little easier if you glue your inside in before you put your other pieces, the panels on, but you'll figure it out. what works better for you. And, you know, if you're mass producing them, then maybe you'll get the hang of, hey, I want to do this section first. Okay, and then we are going to glue this onto our basic black panel. And you probably notice I never use a lot of glue, and that's really helpful if you go to put on your card and you push it down and then later you decide it's crooked. It's a whole heck of a lot easier to get it off with your, take your pick, the spatula end, if you haven't used a ton of glue. Because if you've used a bunch in the center, it's hard to get your, take your pick tool in that far without boogering up the cardstock and all that. And really this glue is awesome and it holds great, so you really just don't need a lot. So that is our card, guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. All right, thanks for watching. Until next time.